Hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 2 of the Red Laugh Riot podcast. My name's Matt.
And I'm Ben. So the first segment of the podcast, as always, is reading the headlines. This is where we go to the top of Reddit and we see what's trending and we read stuff and talk about it. So first headline is from Uplifting News, and this is Meet the Woman Who Rented Hotel Rooms for Homeless in Chicago during Dangerous Polar Vortex. First off, I don't even know what a polar vortex is.
Oh.
Do you know what this is?
I know what it is.
Sounds like obviously a weather thing. But
Yep. Okay, so at the moment in the US, they're basically in the middle of a giant ass cold snap, which is like the opposite of a heat wave, right?
Okay.
You know what a heat wave is, yeah?
Sort of, yeah.
Heat wave is just when it's really hot.
It's just really hot, yeah.
It's
like Auckland right now.
So a cold snap's basically the opposite of that.
Okay.
And what a polar vortex is basically, so there's like a bunch of really cold air that's around the Arctic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens is usually it's like up there chilling up in the Arctic, but because there's a bunch of hot air coming from the southern hemisphere and the South Pacific, right? So the heat wave down here, it's pushed all that heat, so that heat goes up and then catches the cold air, and then the cold air rushes down to thingy it, and then we get a polar vortex and really cold temperatures all across the US.
That was really fascinating. I
feel like you're being sarcastic.
I was kind of tuned out for a second. I was reading the comments here. One of the top ones is, you'll see her on Ellen soon. Give her all the things. Yeah, what is with that? Ellen just... I don't watch Ellen, but...
Yeah. I haven't watched Ellen in a very, very long time. Just those daytime sort of talk shows, eh?
Yeah. I mean, who's even watching TV during the day?
Yeah. Who's watching TV, period?
Well, yeah, exactly.
It's also a really good point. Have you got another article?
I was just going to read another comment. Someone saying, FYI, in most major cities, if you see a homeless person outside in the freezing weather, you can call 911. They are required to come check on them and take them back to the hospital or a shelter. So there you go.
Yeah, because everyone was really worried about it because the temperatures were insane. It was we're talking minus 35 degrees.
Celsius?
Celsius.
Really?
And so, obviously, that causes issues, especially for the homeless as well. And so they were they had social workers on that out, sort of checking on people and stuff.
Yeah.
And already a couple of people have died from it.
Jeez.
Which is really sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a hotel room is definitely better than a shelter or a hospital, so this woman's pretty amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right, and the next headline for today is from Science. Butter-scented chemical linked to popcorn lung or bronchiolitis obliterans discovered in vape juices and is the most common flavoring chemical in e-liquids. In the new study, the chemical, together with another similar one, was found to impair the function of the lungs when inhaled. Boom. So
basically, vaping's bad.
Vaping's bad.
Which is I don't think anyone was... anyone who vapes or smokes, right?
Yeah.
No one, these days at least, right? Vapes or smokes and they're this is good for me.
Well, yeah, but vapes meant to be the better alternative than smoking,
I think
right?
It still is a better alternative.
It's probably better, but still not great.
Slightly better, but it's
yeah.
A lot of the correlation between vaping and smoking is so many vapors are former smokers or current smokers. And so people are all worried about all these people vaping, but I would argue a good percentage of them smoked first.
The thing is
I
think especially for young people who may have been turned off by smoking, might have seen vaping, feel oh, vaping, that looks cool. Oh, it smells nice, it tastes good. Why wouldn't I do that? And so it's way more enticing, I think, especially for people who don't know much about it. So I feel it's going to have just as bad an effect as smoking has had. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah. That's for sure. I mean, yeah, definitely. I think it's, a thing of if you don't, had you not smoked and then you start vaping, like that's bad. But I think for smokers who are like trying to quit,
Yeah,
sort of a
for
good
sure.
stepping stone to sort of wean your way off it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I totally agree with you. Basically, don't pick up vaping if you don't smoke.
Yeah.
It's probably a good idea.
All right, here we go. From politics,
Oh,
You-
Matt's favourite subject.
U.S. intelligence agents were reportedly warned not to tell Trump findings that contradict his public comments. Wow. I mean, what else can you say about this guy, honestly?
It's insane. It's just so there's never been a president who's been impeached and therefore been kicked out of office as a result of impeachment.
Right.
But presidents have been impeached. Clinton was impeached. Someone else was also impeached, who I can't remember. But basically, what impeachment means is it's like charging sort of like the president with a certain crime.
Right, yeah.
And can in theory lead to them being essentially fired.
Yeah.
And so that can only happen if the Senate votes to do it, but they need like 66% majority or something. Like
Yeah.
a huge percent. So basically, you would need to lose faith of your like your own party, which is never going to happen. But the thing with Trump, right, is, and so like Nixon, who resigned and is the only president to do so, basically resigned because he knew he was going to get impeached. Because
Yeah.
he lost the favor of his party.
Right.
The thing is, Trump, I think, is arrogant enough to think that he wouldn't get impeached and therefore get impeached. But the only problem is, if Trump got impeached, then that means that the vice president would come up, and that's Mike Pence, who is a vile human being.
Okay. So not much better.
Yeah, so not much better.
Right. Well, yeah, a lot of people here are saying that, well, one of the top comments is Trump is the greatest national security threat this country has ever seen.
Yeah, very true.
Like, people are just saying he needs to be removed from office because he's making America unsafe.
Yeah.
But, yeah, do you think they would even do anything? Do you think Mike Pence would just do the same stuff, just not be as public on Twitter, I guess?
Yeah, I think the thing with Mike Pence is a danger in terms of like, I think less of a danger in the same vein as Trump, but definitely a danger in terms of for LGBT rights, LGBT people, and for women. Basically, he's like really like super conservative.
Yeah.
So that would be a worry basically for those two groups of people because, yeah, like the stripping back of rights, which we've already seen sort of under Trump's administration. Sort of these rollbacks of rights. Yeah, which is dangerous, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So, in whatever. Yeah. Oh. So speaking of vice presidents, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a film called Vice, which is up for an Academy Award, right?
Oh,
You know
really?
what? And have a guess what our top fives are going to be about this week. That's right, Academy Awards. In fact, not just our top fives, but I'm also going to prematurely also introduce our main topic, which is surprise, also about the Oscars. So our top five segment, right, which is semi-inspired by the film High Fidelity.
Which has won no Oscars.
Which has won no Oscars, which is not a shock. Yeah, so what we're going to do is we're going to get our top five list, right? And what today's topic is, it's top five Oscar-winning films.
So that means any award.
Yes, that
Basically.
was my
Any Academy Award.
distinction. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to have
So
won
not just like the best pictures.
not just best picture because
That would
that's
have been
boring.
too difficult, and I've only seen like 4 of them.
Dude, I looked at like the whole 90 that have been like released.
Yeah.
And I was like counting the amount that I've seen. I've seen a good proportion
Really?
of best picture winning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, so I'm just firing up my notes. All right, sweet. So I will start. All right, so I'm gonna start off by saying I found this list really difficult to complete, right? Because
Yeah.
I basically just looked at a bunch of Oscar-winning films, and I had like at the highest point had like 19 films or something.
Jeez.
And I was like, all right, I need to find a way to sort of narrow this down. And so I like making life more difficult for myself, right? So I came up with 3 rules in terms of what I have to do, okay? So 1, I can't mention any films that I've already talked about in previous lists. because I knew it.
Really?
Otherwise, I'd repeat stuff like Social Network, which I'm pretty sure won 2 Oscars. I believe.
Okay.
So I made that rule.
Okay.
Another rule I made was had to be genre diverse,
Mm-hmm.
or as diverse as I could in terms of genre.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other distinction was award diverse, so try and spread it across different awards and not just looking at the
Right.
same award.
So
right?
your top fives are always like trying to make it the most interesting for the podcast, whereas my top five is just like the top five.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
I don't make any dumb. The
I'm-
only rules initially, I was like, I won't do any that have like only one supporting actor or whatever. But then I was like, yeah, why not? And so I've got quite a long list in terms of honorable mentions anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
So-
again, I restricted myself.
But
because
what I did do is like for the top five anyway, I favored the ones that had more awards or more relevant awards, as in like the screenplays and
Yeah.
stuff like that, as opposed to just sound mixing or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So I didn't quite do that with my list in terms of thingy my top five. I just basically did it how much I like the film versus the other film.
Yeah, that's
And sort of
basically what I did as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Though with me,
But just more lenient one way.
yeah, they hadn't, like, some have won more than others.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah. Okay. So with that said and done, so my number 5 pick is Lawrence of Arabia,
Okay.
which is a classic film. It's
Haven't
considered
seen
a
it.
classic film.
What year did it come out?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. Let me have a look. Yeah. So the reason why I sort of put it on my list was it was sort of my classic film pick, right? So again, genre, right? And then it also got my pick because it won cinematography, won the best cinematography award, and it also won the best editing award.
Nice.
And I believe it also won best picture as well, and a smattering of other Academy Awards from memory. 1962.
Nice.
Is when it was from. Yeah, so Lawrence of Arabia is a beautiful film in terms of how it's shot. It's very, I can't remember the ratio, but it's like widescreen ratio.
Yeah.
And sort of shot it on a lot of like telephoto lenses and that.
Okay.
So it has a really cool like vibe to it, you know, in terms
Yeah.
of how it was shot. Like
Yeah.
very interesting. Great acting, great director, as well as, so yeah, the cinematography is beautiful, especially like long shots, and just because it's set in a desert, right? And so it like, by using like telephoto lenses and that, he sort of makes it seem a lot more barren than you know, like with his choice of like
Okay.
of
Interesting.
lenses and that.
Yeah.
And then also with in regards to the editing, there's a really cool cut, which isn't a spoiler at all. It's just, so there's a cut where the like main character like lights a match, and so he like holds it up and he looks at it, and then we like cut to like the sunset on the desert,
Nice.
and it's just a beautiful cut. And I was like, ooh, when I saw it, like I made that like, ooh, you know.
Very interesting.
Yeah, so that's my number 5 pick.
Well, speaking of sunshine,
Yeah.
my number 5 is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Oh, no way.
And this won Best Original Screenplay. And stars Jim Carrey, stars Kirsten Dunst. Who else is in it? Kate Winslet,
Yeah.
Elijah Wood. Big names for a film. A drama. It's one of the few dramas that Jim Carrey's actually done.
Yeah,
And it's like he's not even that funny in it, is he? It's like an actual solid drama, and it's
Yeah, for sure.
really interesting, great film that I love very much. Thought it deserved to make this list.
Fantastic. So Jim Carrey, known for comedies, isn't he?
Yeah.
Speaking of comedies, my number 4 pick is Annie Hall. Ooh.
Haven't seen that one either.
Yeah, so Annie Hall is a really interesting film. It's directed by Woody Allen, starring Woody Allen, as well as Diane Keating. And it's like it's from 1977. Won Best Picture. Pretty sure Woody Allen won Best Director for it as well, from memory. Yeah, really interesting film. Cause so there's a scene I love, right, which is really interesting and pretty funny as well. Is that, so it's a scene between the guy and the girl, right, and they're talking, and we get subtitles on the screen, right? And so so they're like talking, and then the subtitles are sort of showing their inner thoughts. So they're like, this guy's way too like smart for me.
Okay.
How am I supposed to do this? You know? And then
Yeah.
like him saying like, I'm just rattling off a bunch of stuff and just talking out of my ass.
Yeah.
And it's really funny just seeing that sort of like, I don't know, just an interesting sort of vehicle of like showing something a little bit different. Yeah, I know. Also, very rare in terms of for comedies to do well at the Oscars as well.
Yeah.
In terms of genre, there's definitely I was I read like this article sort of thing, and it was breaking down the Best Picture winners by genre,
Yeah.
and there's definitely like bias towards certain films.
Right.
Basically big historical films and
Yeah.
and biopics as
Right.
well. Sort of the Academy loves those films.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I feel like they always pick ones that are like really like bold or different, you know what I mean? Or like have something to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that was another thing. Like, if it has like some sort of social message, especially with biopics as well, then they do well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, my number 4 pick is Manchester by the Sea,
Hey.
which also won original screenplay and won Best Actor in Casey Affleck.
Yes.
So I did talk about this briefly a few podcasts ago when I watched the movie. Man, it's a solidly good movie that I just can't recommend enough because, well, if you got to be in the right mood, I guess. It's,
yeah,
it's
you have to be in a very interesting mood for it.
Emotional and not too feel good, but
yeah,
watch it anyway. 'Cause it's a great piece of art that definitely deserves to be on this list and deserves every award it got and was nominated for.
Yeah, Manchester by the Sea was I thought it was, just to sort of jump on that a bit, I thought it was a really interesting film just because it sort of was very much, in terms of the acting, was very like understated.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to explain it, but like it was really understated, and it was just sort of beautiful because of that. Like, you sort of had to because I sort of watched this video and it was contrasting Manchester by the Sea by Fences, which was nominated the same year.
Yeah.
And it's interesting sort of contrasting those two films because, especially with the performances, because Casey Affleck's a good example of it, because he was sort of like very like quiet and sort of in his performance, while who was in Fences? Denzel Washington was very much a lot more like loud in his performance. So like what they were saying, and I think it explains it really well, was like for like the Fences, you sort of leant back because of how loud the performance was, and sort of like shock, that's sort of like ooh. While Manchester by the Sea, you sort of had to lean in to sort of understand it and stuff, which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah, I remember watching a video that pointed out, I can't remember what channel it was, it might have been Lessons from the Screenplay, talking about the dialogue specifically and how it was written like really like naturally, and I noticed it a lot in some of the scenes. I mean, some of the scenes that he pointed out in this video, where they kind of like talk over each other and stuff, like just like you expect in like a normal conversation, but like that's something that usually doesn't happen in movies, because the movies is like line of dialogue, next line of dialogue, next line of dialogue, and that doesn't really happen much. So I really admire that about the film as well.
Yeah. Another film that I admire is Silence of the Lambs. And that, funnily enough, is my number 3 pick. So Silence of the Lambs is my pick, obviously, for horror. I believe it's the only horror film to win Best Picture.
Really?
I think. And boy, does it deserve it. I would argue, one of the greatest horror films of all time. Like, I didn't really get scared per se from it. Like, here's the thing. For me with horror films, right, the major thing that scares me in horror films is jump scares, right?
Yeah.
Like, jump scares scare me. And I'm very easily scared when it comes to jump scares.
Right,
like,
yeah.
I'm the easiest person to... I can know... Jesus Christ. I can know... For those... Since we only got audio, Ben, like, just jumped at me, and then I, like... you saw me jump, eh? Yeah, and I literally jumped.
Good.
Yeah, so, that's my... What was I saying?
You like jump scares?
No, I hate jump scares. That's my problem. That's why horror is sort of a film I don't really watch that much.
I don't think I've watched a single horror film. I've got horror films on my list that I want to watch. I don't know.
Too much of a baby to watch.
Some part of me is still too afraid. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the other reason why it's on this list is because I think it's one of 3 films to win the Big Five at the Oscars. And so the Big Five is Best Picture,
Mm-hmm.
Best Actor, Best Actress,
Best
Best
director.
Director, yep,
Best
and then
screenplay?
Best Screenplay, either original or thing.
It's best cinematography, not one of the big 5.
No,
Disappointing.
yeah. So that's considered the Big Five, and it
Yeah.
won that in its year, and it's one of the only 3 films to do so, and it was a horror film, so
Damn, that's
that's
cool.
pretty impressive.
That's very impressive. Moving on, trying to make it. Think of a segue out of that. I don't think I can. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't think of anything. Speaking of best actress, which you kind of half brought up,
Yeah.
my third film is Room, for which
I still need to see that.
Brie Larson won best actress. Again, it's kind of in the same vein as Manchester by the Sea. It's like one of those films that like it's just like very real feeling, not The Room, Room.
Yeah, two very, very different
I
films.
think that one won any Oscars. Nah. A very real feeling, like, and like, it feels like you're not watching a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like you're like in there, like,
Yeah.
you know,
Sort of experiencing it with the
Yeah.
characters, yeah.
the way that it's shot as well was really impressive. I guess being in such a small environment. I assume they just had versions of the sets without a wall, so they could shoot it. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. But man, and the acting and the everything, it's beautiful. It's fantastic. Like also another emotional kind of ride. So strap in,
Yeah.
I guess, if you're gonna watch that, either of those movies. Even Eternal Sunshine has got some emotional punch in it as well. So
Yeah. Funny that you mentioned Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Ben, multiple times.
is this your
That's-
number 2? Is
That's
it?
my number 2 pick.
Nailed it.
And so it's my pick, as a result of writing, was sort of my writing pick.
Yeah.
In that it's just, I haven't seen anything like it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's weird.
It sort of takes this weird premise of like, hey, if you could erase someone from your memory, would you? Which is this really profound question, you know? And it sort of deals with it in a really interesting and it's just a quirky, beautiful film.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just such a quirky indie film, and I love it. And it takes like this, and it has that sort of sci-fi undertone, you know,
Right,
if you will, in
yeah.
terms of the whole technology side of it,
Yeah.
right? Because it's like, this is a like alternative universe with this type of technology, that people are utilizing. It's just, I don't know what else to say other than it's just quirky and different, and it's more people should see it than I think.
Yeah.
Saw
I
it.
feel like hardly anyone knows it exists, you know.
Yeah.
I can't remember how I discovered it. Must have found it on iTunes.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, actually I think it was on Netflix. I watched it on Netflix.
Yeah. Yeah, because I watched it when I went through one of my big long binges of films when I
Yeah.
make like giant ass lists
Yeah.
that I'm in the middle of at the moment. Yeah, and that was one of the ones that was on one of my old lists that I managed to watch, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah. Go see it. Well, don't go see it physically. Just you can stay in your room and watch it.
Yeah. Just watch it.
Man, what do you reckon they should like put old movies in theaters, like movies like this that like people don't know about? Because you know
Yeah.
they always they re-release Star Wars or Titanic or something like that, but like they'll never put these kind of movies in theaters again.
Yeah.
It's like you just want to experience that. Although, having said that, I did see Pulp Fiction in theaters last year. So, but again, that's pretty well known. So,
Yeah. I mean, similar vein with the well-known films is I think it's the 25th anniversary of Schindler's List this
okay.
year, so I think they're re-releasing it in
Are they?
theaters.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but again, it's always well-known ones.
Yeah, which
There's-
is
there's
again
these
a very well-known.
gems, absolute gems.
Yeah.
That,
I mean, well, it's also like an
no one
indie film,
knows.
so it's like,
yeah, but it's like one of the best, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Another thing that's one of the best, one of the best comedies of all time, I'm gonna say, is The Grand Budapest Hotel, which is my number 2, which won Best Score, Best Costume, Best Production Design, and Best Makeup.
Yeah.
Deserves all of those things.
Yeah, definitely.
Damn, it's a good film. I think I
It's a
talked about
very
this
good
last
film.
week, didn't
Yeah.
I? Because I'd watched it in the holidays. I just fell in love with it because the again the writing's really great. Although I don't know if it was nominated or not for
I'm
writing.
not sure.
It probably was, maybe.
I think it might have been actually.
But comedy.
I think it was. Yeah.
For a
I think it
comedy,
was.
like to be really successful at the Oscars is awesome.
Yeah.
So, let's hope that keeps up. Get more of those out there. Get more good comedies.
I mean, yeah. I think comedy is something that like is very much needed in
Yeah.
today's society.
Yeah, a lot of comedies are just like kind of generic, trying to appeal to mainstream audiences.
Yeah.
And that there's a good reason why those movies aren't good. It's because they're aiming for that demographic kind of
Yeah. Sort of aiming for too many people.
But if you just are passionate about film and you have funny ideas, then
Yeah.
you can make a great comedy like Grand Budapest, or like I mentioned last week again, Green Book.
Yeah.
Like just like a movie that's like you're there for the movie and the comedy. It's not just the comedy. Like most comedies are just like, oh, it's
Yeah.
gonna be funny and that's all.
Yeah,
You don't
for
care about
sure.
the characters or the story or anything. But in these comedies, like you're there and you're enticed in the story and the characters, and it's funny and
Yeah.
it's like really funny. It's more funny than most other comedies.
Definitely.
So again, if you haven't seen that, go see it.
All right. So it's time now for my honorable mentions.
How many do you have? I have like 17.
I have 6.
So you're always much more refined, but you'll talk about them for longer, won't you?
Yeah. My first 3 picks are sort of my like ones that were up for like that classic spot
Mm-hmm.
that I mentioned, which was taken by Lawrence of Arabia. But Gone with the Wind
Oh yeah.
was one of them.
I saw
Gone
it.
with the Wind's actually a really beautiful
Right.
film.
Fun fact: that's still the highest grossing movie of all time.
Yeah.
With inflation,
Yeah.
as in adjusted for inflation.
Yeah, I knew that.
Which
Which is insane.
yeah.
Which is totally insane. That it's still number 1.
Yeah.
You know, you'd think something would have overtaken it.
Yeah.
but
I mean,
I guess
what year did
because
it come out?
39, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of inflation, obviously,
Yeah.
since then.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really beautiful film. It's like, especially costume wise, is amazing.
Right.
From a costume perspective, just really good performances as well. I know, and sort of like a subversion, I guess, of the genre in terms of. I don't think it's much of a spoiler. Also, it's how old's the bloody film if you haven't seen it already. What are you doing?
I haven't seen it.
Do you mind me spoiling?
Yes.
You mind me spoiling?
Yes, I do mind.
Okay, then I won't say anything.
So do the listeners, because they're gonna go watch it too.
Yeah. No, it's just the ending's definitely a little bit of subversion. That's all I'll say. My other pick is a film that Ben's mentioned before, but I haven't. Casablanca,
Oh yeah.
which was also my classic pick. I think it won Best Picture as well as Gone with the Wind. I'm pretty sure also won Best Picture.
Yeah. It was Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay.
What was Casablanca?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
1944.
Yeah. So Casablanca, fantastic film. Yeah, just I don't know, really interesting film, and sort of interesting to see sort of the turnaround of the main character. You know, sort of goes from this
Yeah.
like what's the word, like jaded guy, and we sort of find out that he wasn't always like so jaded.
Yeah.
And was like a freedom fighter, and then sort of like meets this girl that he broke his heart. I don't know, just classic story, but a classic story done well.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well,
yeah.
I mean, it's a classic story because it's literally it's from 1944. It's literally classic. That's
Yeah,
why it's
yeah.
a classic story.
And then my
So back in the day, it was
Yeah.
kind of just a story.
yeah, very true. And then my other classic pick is The Godfather. In fact, I would probably also put Godfather Part 2. On
When
there
did
as
they
well.
come out?
Godfather, the first Godfather, I believe, was 1970.
70. Okay, I guess you can call that classic.
Yeah, just what a film though.
Yeah.
Like, fantastic performances. You got Marlon Brando. You got, I can't remember who was in which one. Al Pacino, I believe, is in it. No, not Al Pacino. What's the other guy? My mind is dead right now.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, just fantastic performances by the entire cast, really, and especially in the second one as well. Just fantastic use of cinematography and direction and story wise. Like very much the first like gangster film, I believe, or like the first like big gangster film.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, did you know Godfather Part 2 was the first film that used Part 2 as like a thing?
Really?
Yeah, before sequels didn't do that. And then Godfather came along and they were like, yeah, we're going to call it Godfather Part 2. And everyone's
mean,
like, nah, that won't catch on.
Not very many films have that name anyway.
Or like 2. I don't think anyone had even
Oh.
had like 2.
Really?
Like blah, 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 2.
Oh, what were
Yeah.
they named before that?
I don't know.
A few dollars more, I guess. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I'm still going. The Departed is my next pick. What a film.
Damn.
Like, oof, that's such a tense film, you know?
It
like,
is.
You've got, like, you know, two guys who are, like, infiltrating each other and, you know, trying to not get found out. And it's just, I don't know, just...
That almost, it almost made my top 5 before I discovered a few extra gems. That was, like,
Yeah.
one of the first on my list that I thought of. And then I went through the list of all the Oscar winners. I was like, not quite.
Yeah. Just a really good film. Again, all-star. What a packed cast.
Yeah. Although no wins for best performances.
Yeah, well, you know, it's still in the days when DiCaprio was getting snubbed. But then that ended, as we all know. Yeah, so, you know, you got DiCaprio, you got Nicholson, you got Damon, you got Mark Wahlberg. Like, 4 amazing actors, you know.
It's funny, like, Mark Wahlberg, Matt Damon, and Leo are almost, like, interchangeable. Like, they feel like this, like, the same type of person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, they're all really...
Just, yeah,
Awesome.
I don't know, just a fantastic film, fantastic directing, obviously, Scorsese directing it.
And he won.
Yeah, he won Best
Best
Director as
Directing.
well. Yeah, I don't know, just, yeah, like a really good film. If you haven't seen it, go see it. In
Yeah.
fact, I was thinking when I sort of, like, saw it as one of, like, the Best Picture winners, I was like, oh, I need to put that film on, like,
Yeah.
you know, like, I need to rewatch it, basically.
Right.
It inspired me to rewatch. I haven't rewatched it yet, but
Yeah.
I feel like I should rewatch it.
Absolutely.
All right, trucking right on. Birdman, my next pick.
Mm-hmm.
So this missed out for like cinematography mainly. Just I've never seen a film sort of shot like that. You know, like.
It won Best Picture, though, didn't it? Did it not?
I think it did.
Yeah, it must have.
I'm
sure it did.
One director, I know that much. Yeah, I think it did. Did it?
Look it up.
I can't remember.
Just type in Birdman Oscar.
Yeah, 2014. Yeah. So just bear with. Yeah, it did win Best Picture. Oh wow, it
Yeah.
won a lot. So it won picture, original screenplay, director, cinematography. Yeah, and then it
Nice.
got a bunch of nominations as well. No, just I've never seen a film shot like that. You know, like with it sort of long takes that aren't long takes technically.
Well, most of them were they're all long takes. They were just
Yeah.
cut together
Yeah,
to look like
that's
a whole take.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah,
say.
but
yeah.
all the takes are still long.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of short takes magically put together. Into
Yeah. You know what I mean though? Like I've
Yeah,
never
yeah.
like seen sort of
Yeah, the
that
most
done.
I've seen of that is like on TV on the smaller scale. Like Daredevil did it recently in
Yeah.
season 2. They had like a 10-minute scene which was like maybe 2 shots or 3 shots put together. I
Yeah.
can't remember. Or maybe it was a few shots put together, but it wasn't very many.
Yeah.
No, you see it occasionally. But like it's phenomenal when they can do that. The only thing is that like sometimes, especially when you know kind of what it is going in, you're kind of looking at it and that part of it can distract you.
Yeah, for sure.
Sometimes, or I don't know. I mean, the kind of films that like are creative or different, very different with the way they shoot it or something.
Yeah.
Like another example would be Hardcore Henry, which shot in first person.
Yeah.
Movies like that shoot wildly differently, they're always going to be slightly distracting because it's different, just
Yeah,
purely for that
that's
sake of
true.
it. But still, yeah, I enjoyed the movie. I didn't love it that much. I don't
Yeah.
know. It was kind of
Yeah.
for me.
That's
To
fair
be
enough.
honest,
Yeah, no, I was very much very intrigued by it and its story and sort of how it did it.
Yeah, I love.
I do
Michael Keaton.
remember being a
Yeah.
little bit bored occasionally.
Yeah.
In it. And that's why some of the honorable mentions and sort of the ones that are lower down on my list are there is because you know that maybe they were a little bit wrong at and that's not necessarily to say that they're bad movies, but just
Yeah.
some slow moments, I suppose, is what you could say. All right, my final honorable mention is Brokeback Mountain.
Never heard of it. No, I have heard of it. I've never seen it.
Gay cowboys. That's how to sum it up. Yeah.
Nice.
So you got Heath Ledger.
When did it come out?
Nine, either late 90s or early 2000s. I can't remember
Okay.
which.
Heath Ledger.
Yeah. So Heath Ledger, and Jake Gyllenhaal.
Uh-huh.
So
Is
again,
this like before they were stars? Or was
uh,
this while they were stars?
it
It
was
was in the 2000s, I guess.
2006.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Directed by Ang Lee. He's a
Oh, yeah.
fantastic director. Oh no, just two. Yeah, I mean, two amazing performances at one best director. I know that much. Yeah, just a really amazing film and sort of a very interesting and important film in terms of its subject matter and being like, hey, gay people exist. Also, they come in all shapes and sizes. Like not just necessarily like the flamboyant person, who you're like, oh, he's gay.
Yeah.
Like everyone just knows, like even the sort of like quote unquote straightest people
Right.
can be gay, and it's sort of quite controversial in that essence because it was like, hey, it's like
True.
taking like the sort of the stereotypical Southern guy,
Yeah.
and being like he's gay, and then everyone was like because they don't like that, but
They would like it a lot more these days, wouldn't they?
yeah. I mean,
Like
I mean,
society's
even
changed
even
a
I
lot.
mean, even in 05, 06 or whatever it was. Yeah, I know. Just like a really important film and a really interesting film and fantastic performances. Like Heath Ledger's performance is like amazing. Because he did something really interesting. He sort of like he created his character to like have a really tense jaw.
Okay.
Which sounds weird, but it was really interesting because he was such like a pent up like character, and he sort of wanted to reflect that physically.
Yeah.
And that was like a decision that
That's really
Heath
interesting.
Ledger made as
Man.
a
Isn't Heath Ledger like amazing?
Yeah.
Like his dedication to his roles.
yeah.
Was that your last honorable mention?
Yes, and that's my last honorable
Speaking
mention.
of Heath Ledger, one of my honorable mentions is The Dark Knight, of course,
Yeah.
where he won
Yeah.
posthumously,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
the I think that was one of the films I like purposely left off my list.
Oh, really?
In terms of I was like, it's too obvious.
Too obvious. Yeah, I almost
So-
left it off because it only won supporting actor and sound editing.
Yeah.
So I was like, but nah, I'll put it on there anyway.
Well, I reckon I've heard, and I totally agree with this, that Dark Knight was like sort of the film that made the because it was the last year that Best Picture only had 5 nominees.
Oh,
And after
okay.
that, they expanded it to 10.
Right.
And so I reckon that Dark Knight was like and a lot of people also reckon that Dark Knight was sort of the film that made
Right. So
the Academy expand it to 10.
right. So it was nominated, was it?
It wasn't nominated.
Oh, it wasn't. Oh,
Yeah.
so you're saying the next year they decided to increase it?
Yeah. they
Oh,
decided to-
okay.
and people reckon that they increased it because they couldn't fit it in
Yeah,
sort of
okay.
in the 5 because they didn't want to take like a quote unquote big genre risk because it's like a superhero film.
Yeah.
Which is bullshit because it was the best film of 2008. I would argue, and a lot of people would
Right.
say it was the best film of 2008. And
True.
Slumdog Millionaire won that year, so,
Oh, yeah.
which I haven't seen.
Right. I'll just quickly go through my honorable mentions here.
Lightning round.
I'm pretty sure you spent more time talking about honorable mentions than you did on your actual top 5.
Probably.
Ex Machina won Best VFX.
Oh, beautiful.
The Revenant, Best Actor in DiCaprio in Best Director and Cinematography. Whiplash for Best Sound Mixing, Editing, and Supporting Actor in J.K. Simmons. Django Unchained for Original Screenplay, Supporting Actor in Christoph Waltz.
Yeah.
And another Tarantino in The Hateful Eight, which just won Best Score. But I think it's actually...
Yeah, Hateful
I
Eight's-
actually think it's a better screenplay than Django, if you ask me.
Really?
Yeah.
Hateful Eight's still on my to see list.
Right, okay. Boyhood won Best Supporting...
Mentioned it already.
Did you mention it?
No, I've mentioned it on
Oh,
previous
is that why you
lists,
didn't
so
put it
that's
on
why
the
it's
list?
excluded.
Oh,
yeah.
that's why. I was like surprised.
Yeah.
Best Supporting Actress for Patricia Arquette, who plays a mum. Up for Best Animated Feature and Best Score.
Oh yeah.
The
Good pick.
Departed, again, as I mentioned before, or as you mentioned before, Best Picture, Best Director, Adapted Screenplay and Editing. The Big Short, did we mention that before?
No.
No, that was off the pod
Yeah.
beforehand. We were talking about The Big Short.
What a film! I love that
Because
film. I
the-
think I have talked about it before. On
Yeah,
previous
Best
podcasts.
Adapted Screenplay by... Oh damn, I forgot his name.
Adam McKay.
Adam
isn't
McKay.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, who also did Vice, which is what we introed this podcast with, wasn't it? Oh no, we introed this segment with
Segment
Vice.
with, yeah.
But we didn't talk about it at all after that. I mean, we talked about it last week because I saw it and I talked
Yeah.
about it. Did you see it?
No, I still haven't seen
Still
it.
haven't seen
yeah, yeah. I introed this segment by sort of
Talking about a film you haven't seen.
because you mentioned because we were talking about the vice president. So I was
yeah.
like, speaking of Vice, which is an Oscar-nominated film,
Yeah.
Oscars. So it was a segue to a segue to a segue into the segment.
Yeah. Go see
Sure.
it. I thought you would have seen it by now, considering
Yeah,
the politics.
I need to see it.
Jeez.
I've been lazy.
Go do it. All right. The Social Network, which I assume is one of those ones you just missed out for the sake
Yep.
of it.
Yep.
For score, adapted screenplay, and editing. Pulp Fiction for original screenplay. Casablanca for best picture, director, and adapted screenplay. American Beauty for best picture,
Yeah, that's
best
a really good
actor,
film.
and Kevin Spacey, best director, best original screenplay, and best cinematography.
I think that film is one of the only films with a director whose name I've forgotten. Was the first film that a director won best director for their directorial debut.
Oh, really?
Sam Mendes, that's his name.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first one and the only one, as far as I'm aware. I may be wrong though, so don't quote me, people.
Mad Max Fury Road, best sound mixing, costume, editing, production design, makeup, sound editing, and Gravity for best score, best directing, and Alfonso Cuarón, best cinematography, best visual effects, best sound mixing, editing, and sound editing. All of which I've talked about when we talked about that movie a few podcasts ago in season 1. Like the score, the sound mixing.
Yeah,
Phenomenal. And like, again,
for sure, yeah.
one of those movies that you have to see in a home theater or a theater. Because you don't get that experience on a laptop
Yeah,
or
I
a
talked
phone,
about-
or even in stereo headphones. You won't get that experience.
Yeah, we talked about it at length.
We did. I just wanted to mention it again
yeah,
for the new listeners out
All
there.
good. All
Go
good.
back to whatever the podcast was where we talked about the theater experience.
Yeah.
And actually, I had one dishonorable mention, which you actually briefly mentioned before: Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah.
Actually, it was 2009 that it won, not 2008. So
It would have won at the 2009.
Oh,
It's
true.
a 2008
Yeah,
film,
no, that
so
makes
it
sense.
wins at the
yeah,
2009
that makes
Oscars.
sense.
Yeah.
Won best picture, best score, best director and Danny Boyle, best adapted screenplay, best cinematography, best sound mixing, and best editing. I thought the screenplay was terrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess it must be based on a book, right? So I guess the book's
yeah.
terrible. Well, I just hate it because it's you haven't seen it.
I've seen part of it.
Okay.
I sort of started watching it and then got bored and then stopped watching it.
Yeah.
I think.
The whole Who Wants to Be Millionaire aspect of it is so.
'Cause I think it's based on a true story. I think that's.
Is it based on a true story?
I think so.
It can't be based on a true story.
I swear, some.
It cannot be based on a true
I'm
story.
pretty sure.
Because the concept of the film
It's
is
so
that-
stupid.
is that the guy knows all the answers because he's experienced those specific things in real life
I don't know. There's a good chance I'm wrong.
for every single question. And it's just so unrealistically dumb and I hate it. And not only that, but they take a break. They literally take a break on the show in the middle of a question. Like he asks the question and then it's like, let's take a break. And they go into there's a scene where they're not in, they literally go into the bathroom, they take a physical break, which is just, that would never happen in
Yeah.
Millionaire because you cannot leave the room if you haven't answered a question, because someone could feed you an answer or something,
Yeah.
that just can't happen. What? How did they not think of that? I don't
Yeah.
know. That frustrates me. So that's why I didn't like it. I was actually in India at the time. I was in Kolkata when I watched this movie.
Oh, wow.
I also had a really bad headache at the time, which may have slightly dampened the experience, but it was still bad. I had to mention that. I just hate that won Best Picture. I think it's because, like I said before, Academy loves the bold
Yeah.
ones that are different or talking about something
Social issues.
social
sort of
issues or
deal.
racial issues or
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
They love that. So that's you go ahead.
All right. We've come to it. Number one pick. My number one pick is No Country for Old Men.
Wouldn't have guessed actually because
What-
I haven't seen this movie yet.
What a film. A fantastic film. So it was won at the 08 Oscars, I think. Yeah, 08. 08. So that would have made it a 2007 film because then it's 2008. Yeah, so it won Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay. Funnily enough, it's actually I think it's the lowest grossing Best Picture
Really
of all time.
interesting.
But a really, really good film. Like a really tense sort of Western style to it. Fantastic performance by the guy who won Best Supporting Actor. What a fantastic villain. Like, so amazing. Probably one of the best villains of all time.
I really need to see this movie.
Yeah, it's a really good film.
Only Coen Brothers film I've seen is True Grit, and I didn't enjoy that at all.
Yeah, I haven't seen True Grit. I've seen another Coen Brothers film, Big Lebowski,
Oh yeah,
which is good. But very different to No Country for Old Men.
yeah.
It's like stoner comedy versus Western sort of drama. But yeah, no, an amazing film. And so if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. Just amazing. I don't want to say too much because I'm afraid I'm going to spoil it. So
Right.
just
Fair
go watch
enough.
it.
Yeah. And here comes my number one, which is The Lord of the Rings. And this one,
Which
well,
one?
yeah, I decided to put them all into one
Okay.
because otherwise it was going to be 3 of my top 5
Yeah,
on the top 5.
that's fair enough.
So, Fellowship of the Ring won Best Score, Best Cinematography, Best Visual Effects, Best Makeup. Two Towers won Best Visual Effects and Sound Editing. And then came in Return of the King, which I think they kind of gave it a bunch more awards because it was all one production. All 3 movies was a single production.
Yeah.
So, fair enough. They kind of waited till the last year to give the majority of the awards, which was, of course, Best Original Song, Best Original Score, Best Director in Peter Jackson, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Visual Effects, Best Costume, Best Sound Mixing, Best Film Editing, Best Production Design, Best Makeup, and Best Picture, which ties it with Titanic for the most Oscar wins
Yeah.
of all time. But if you include the other 2 films,
Then
then
yeah.
it's got even more, really.
Yeah.
Because effectively it's one, like I said, one production.
Yeah.
So it deserves all of those. Wow. I don't actually know if I've talked about Lord of the Rings on this podcast.
I'm pretty sure you have.
Maybe briefly. Like, when would it have come up, though?
You mentioned
Maybe in,
something
like,
about it.
honorable mentions for best movies or
Yeah,
something.
something like that. I know you've mentioned it for a fact. I just can't remember
Yeah.
what exactly.
Yeah. Mate. Fantastic series of films that I haven't watched since 2014. So I need to watch those again sometime.
Yeah.
But again, I don't have a home theater anymore.
Yeah.
So I don't really have the setup to watch it. I can't watch, it's one of those movies that
Yeah,
I
and you
want to
sort
watch.
of want to do it justice. Sort
Yeah.
of one of those films, yeah.
Extended editions, of course. But I don't recommend doing a marathon of extended editions because I've done it twice
Yeah.
and it's painful. Like, you actually just lose attention and you get bored and you just start yelling and chatting and doing all the nonsense. And you kind of lose the enjoyment of those movies.
Yeah.
Last time I watched them on my own, or at least I watched 2 of them on my own, and it was just so much more interesting, and you just have that better connection when you just watch it as a single piece. And then maybe the next day or the next week you can watch them, but like doing the marathon just doesn't work, I don't think.
Yeah.
I mean, I love marathons. Like, I've done at least three Marvel marathons in my time, and they get longer and longer as you do them because there's more movies coming out,
Yeah.
But that's kind of different because every movie's quite different. But with Lord of the Rings, it's kind of a single really long movie.
Mm.
And yeah, especially if you've seen it before, you kind of just get bored. So if you haven't seen the movies, maybe don't do a marathon. Yeah. But that is that's my number. That's it. That's the Oscars.
Yeah.
But we're not finished with the Oscars, are we?
No.
We're gonna keep talking about the Oscars because what's the main topic? I actually don't even.
So
we're just talking about them in
we're,
general
we're just going to talk about the major Oscars. I was
for
reckoning
this year.
For this year.
Okay.
I reckon what we should do is we should go through sort of the main categories.
Yeah.
And sort of argue over who we think's going to win and why.
All right. Let me just pull this up on my phone.
I've got stuff up right now. So do you want to? I reckon we should end with Best Picture.
Yes.
Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Cool.
Are we?
Should we open with Best Actress in a Supporting Role?
Why don't we just do the whole list?
What?
But we'll just quick fire the whole list, all of them.
What do you mean?
I mean, like all the nominees, not just like the big ones.
Well, if you do, yeah, okay.
But-
So Actress in a Supporting Role. Amy Adams for Vice. Right, so these are the nominees. Amy Adams for Vice. Maria de Tavira.
Mm-hmm.
I butchered that pronunciation for Roma.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia King for If Beale Street Could Talk. Emma Stone for The Favourite. And Rachel Weisz for The Favourite.
Okay, so I've seen Vice and Roma. I haven't seen. Have you seen any of these movies?
I've seen none of them.
Great. So I really have the only authority, but even then, I've only seen 2 of the movies.
Yeah, I listen to like pundits and that.
It definitely won't be Roma if you ask me, because that character, if I recall correctly, didn't do that much in the movie.
Yeah.
So, but I think, yeah, we'll talk later about the main actress. I'm just going to take a wild guess and say it'll be one of the girls from The Favourite, probably Emma Stone or Amy Adams.
All right. I reckon Virginia King is gonna win for If Beale Street Could Talk.
True.
She won the Golden Globe.
Oh, did
and I
she?
think she also won She might have won something else as well.
So
but
I don't
can't remember
follow
what.
them.
Yeah, I follow, so that's where my sort of advantage comes in.
Mm.
All right. Actor in a supporting role.
Yep.
So the nominees are Mahershala Ali for Green Book, which I'm sure I mispronounced. Sorry. Adam Driver for Black Klansman. Sam Elliott for A Star Is Born. Richard E. Grant for Can You Ever Forgive Me? And Sam Rockwell for Vice.
Yeah. So I've seen Vice and I've seen Green Book.
Yep.
I was going to watch Black Klansman because it was on sale on iTunes, and the next day I actually went to watch it, and then it was no longer on sale. So I was like,
So I've seen
rip that.
Black Klansman and I've seen A Star Is Born.
So
I
first, I just want to say with Vice, I don't think Sam Rockwell should have been nominated. I mean, he was good, but he wasn't.
I've heard a lot of people say that.
He wasn't any better than he has been in any other role I've seen him in.
Yeah.
I think if anything, Steve Carell should have got that nom.
Yeah.
Because he was, I'd say, the best. After Amy Adams and Christian Bale.
Yeah.
In that movie. But it probably won't be Green Book because he was good, but like kind of like standard for him anyway, I guess. So they're probably going to give it to someone who hasn't won before. Because didn't he win for Moonlight?
Yeah, he won for Moonlight.
Yeah. I'm going to just say it's probably Adam Driver.
Okay.
I've no idea. I got no clue.
Yeah, you got no idea. I reckon Ali's going to win it.
Okay.
Yeah, won the Golden Globe.
Oh, wow. I just scrolled through the list and I just realized there's so many categories.
That's why I was saying I need to do the main ones, because otherwise we're going to be here all night.
Let's go next.
So Ali, so we'll go actress in the leading role now.
Okay.
So the nominees are Yalitza Aparicio for Roma. I'm sure. I'm not even going to try. I'm so sorry. I know I will mispronounce.
Uh-huh.
Glenn Close for The Wife. Olivia
relation.
Colman for nice. Olivia Colman for The Favourite. Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born. Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me?
And I've heard such fantastic things about Olivia Colman, but the girl in Roma was fantastic. So I'm gonna just vote for her because I haven't seen any of the other movies.
Yeah,
definitely won't be Lady Gaga. Though,
I've only seen A Star Is I've only seen A Star Is Born. Out of those films, I think Glenn Close is going to win. She won the Golden Globes, and then she tied
actually
the Critics' Choice. I think it was.
That's a good point because it's like when as the actors get older, they always are more likely to get
a lot of the time they give certain actors awards more as a career achievement than a individual performance.
Like I think that's
which is a really good one.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to happen with Christian Bale. Do you think? Well, I mean, if we move on to actor in a leading role.
So actor in the leading role is Christian Bale for Vice, Bradley Cooper for A Star Is Born, Willem Dafoe for At Enemy's Gate.
Eternity's Gate.
Oh, Eternity's Gate. Sorry, I couldn't read it properly. I'm on a weird angle. Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody and Viggo Mortensen for Green Book.
Yeah. I mean, Rami Malek has been spotted as really popular as well. So one of the two of them will win, I think. Although I haven't seen...
Malek and who?
Bale.
Oh,
yeah. Mortensen was great. He's probably my third pick if they were going to rank them.
Yeah, I reckon it's Malek's to lose. I reckon.
You reckon?
I'll be very surprised if anyone else wins it other than Malek. If Malek doesn't win, I'll be shocked.
I agree.
Upset.
It's kind of the more popular film anyway.
One for the Golden Globe. I'm pretty sure also just cleaned up a bunch of
Right.
of the awards as well. What do you want to go to now? Should we go
Let's go. Whoopsies, my scrolling thing's gone.
Should we go director?
Uh-huh.
So directing, we got Black Klansman, Spike Lee, Poet Polanski for Cold War, Yargos, not even gonna try and pronounce that. The Favorite, Alfonso Cuarón for Roma, and Adam McKay for Vice.
Okay, so I think Alfonso's going to win, but I personally think Cold War was better directed. I thought the cinematography and the shot composition in that film was fantastic. And I loved that aspect of the film anyway. Yeah.
So I think it's Alfonso Cuarón's to lose again in this category. I'll be very surprised if anyone else wins.
Yeah. And then if we move to cinematography, I'm going to say the exact same thing.
Yeah. So you think therefore you think
I think Cold War. I think Cold War's better, but I think Roma's going to win.
Yeah. I'll be very surprised if Roma doesn't win.
Yeah. So nominees are Cold War, The Favorite, Never Look Away, Roma, and A Star Is Born. And funnily enough, Alfonso Cuarón did his own cinematography, which is a fairly rare thing for a director to do his own cinematography.
Before we do Best Picture, should we do
animated
editing? I was just thinking we should get your expertise.
Of course, yes. I'm actually really glad. Yeah, I'll read it out.
Yeah.
Best film editing: Black Klansman, by Barry Alexander Brown. Bohemian Rhapsody for John Ottman.
Yeah.
The Favorite, Yorgos Mav something. Was that the director as well? Did he edit it himself?
Might have been. I'm not sure.
Green Book, Patrick J. Don Vito, and Vice Hank Corwin. Now, I think both Vice and Green Book had fantastic editing. I'm really glad Green Book was nominated.
Yeah.
Because I came out of that like seeing particular edits and particular cuts that I loved.
Yeah.
Those are the only two I've seen though. I would love it if Vice won because it had some really creative editing. But either Green Book or Vice, if they won, that'd be awesome.
Yep.
I'm almost going to say I think Green Book will win, but again, I haven't seen the others. So
yeah. I've only really seen I've seen Bohemian Rhapsody and Black Klansman.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the others. And I can't remember what's one other stuff, so I don't really have a pick. If I was forced to, I'd probably say Green Book, I reckon.
Right.
I vaguely remember hearing something about Green Book winning something.
Okay. I reckon we should talk about Best Animated Feature Film.
Okay.
So the nominees are Incredibles 2, I Love Dogs, Mirai, Ralph Breaks the Internet, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yep.
I think you all know what my pick is. It's obviously Spider-Man. It won Golden Globes, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's easily the best on this list. Although I haven't seen Ralph or Mirai, which is a anime. Which is actually, you have to mention, I'm really glad that there's an anime animated for Best Animated Film. Because I remember
really cool.
when Your Name came out, which is my favorite movie of all time.
I still need to see that.
Was not even nominated, was it?
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me.
And I'm so glad. I think they did push for Oscars for that film as well.
Yeah.
And they didn't get it because I kind of thought maybe the Academy doesn't care. But it's really good to see that they've kind of had a look into anime this year. So that's awesome. But I'm still disappointed to see that Ralph Breaks the Internet is on there. But then again, I can't think of anything else.
Yeah.
Because I haven't seen that many animated films this year.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Incredibles 2 and Isle of Dogs out of those films.
Right.
But
I'm still
it's Into the Spider-Verse is to lose.
Yeah. I mean, Isle of Dogs has a decent chance, I think, because again, Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
And yeah, stop motion animation, I guess, you could say it's more difficult maybe. But Spider-Verse was just so good in every way. I honestly think it should have been, if they at least had 10 nominees for Best Picture, I think it should have been nominated for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, speaking of Best Picture, should we do Best
Let's
Picture
do
now?
Best Picture. Let's do it. Let's get it out of the way.
So the nominees are Black Panther, Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, Star is Born, and Vice.
Lovely. Well, should we just talk about the stupidity behind Black Panther being on here?
Yeah.
Or even you've seen Bohemian Rhapsody, haven't you?
So I've seen Black Klansman, Bohemian Rhapsody, A Star Is Born out of those nominees.
Yeah. Do you think Bohemian Rhapsody deserves to be on here?
I don't think so.
'Cause
Here's the thing with me, right, with Bohemian Rhapsody. I finished watching that film and I went, what I was floored with is I was like, Rummy's performance was amazing. I
Yeah.
didn't go, that was an amazing film. I went, that was an amazing performance.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's my argument, sort of.
You know how earlier in the year there was talk of there being a best popular category?
Yeah.
I think they've just instead put the popular ones in the best picture nom. So Bohemian Rhapsody and Black Panther being the popular ones. I guess A Star Is Born is popular as well. But that probably would have made it anyway. And I think it's just ridiculous because there are definitely better movies.
Yeah. So what do you think's gonna win out of?
I think Roma is gonna win,
Yeah.
but I would wish that Green Book could win
Yeah.
because I've seen 3 of these films. No, 4. Yeah, 4 of these films. So, yeah, I think Roma or The Favourite will win.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want Green Book to win.
Yeah. I'm picking Roma to win.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard a really interesting theory, right? So how they vote is they rank them. So they go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and sort of rank them in order.
Don't they only rank 5? Isn't that how it works?
I'm pretty sure they rank.
I believe it's for nominations. You mean?
Or, no, for the winner.
Oh,
they do it like
right,
they
of
rank
course.
them,
Yeah.
and then it's whoever has like the most X ranks.
Yeah.
Sort of. So therefore, like one that's getting a bunch of like thirds or whatever could potentially win in terms of like if other people's first and seconds were different.
True.
So like,
Yeah.
what I've heard is that Star Is Born and Bohemian Rhapsody may be like going like this, right?
He's
like,
making a hand motion with his knuckles.
So two
punching himself.
knuckles punching,
Mhm.
and then Roma might come and sneak in and win it. Is some of the theory behind Roma winning it.
Really?
Whether that actually happens or not is another story.
I think it's I think it's going to be a lot of people's top picks.
Yeah, if Roma yeah, so I'm picking Roma basically to win. I like to.
You know, what'd be great is if they.
I need to see Roma though.
If they announce the winners like they do in politics, where they show that they actually count the votes.
Oh yeah.
Like live.
Yeah.
And so you're just sitting there like watching. Like,
yeah.
But then I guess after a certain point, you'll be like, they got the majority. So then, how does it work? They need a majority in politics, don't they? Well, I guess you need a majority in any voting system.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be exciting. That would be more exciting than watching the Oscars.
Yeah, just them sort of going up and being like,
So these guys
This
won.
one's-
Oh wait, no, these guys won.
that happened one time.
I know, but the joke's never gonna get old.
Yeah, very true.
Well, actually, it is, but it's never gonna stop being used.
Yeah, people are gonna still make that joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so that's our predictions. That's Red Laugh Riot. It's official predictions.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to predict when you haven't seen most of the half of the movies. So, but having said that, I've seen more of these movies than I've ever seen in a year in terms of seeing Oscars.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty proud of that so far.
Yeah. I haven't been very very good at watching like Academy films since not last year but the year before when I watched all the Best Pictures.
Okay.
Since then, I've usually watched like half or like
Yeah.
2 off, like
Yeah.
eventually getting to the point where I've watched, like 2 off or whatever. But yeah, I really want to see, I do want to see Vice and Roma and Green Book at some point, and I'm sure I will do so. Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to say about the Oscars? Because I remember when you suggested we should talk about this, I was kind of iffy because like I in general don't love the Oscars.
Yeah.
Which I think I talked about last week.
Yeah.
I like that we can shed a light on these films for a lot of people who don't know about them.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's fair to say that one film is the best.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that opinion's going to change over time. Like if you look back, like we've talked about at some of the Oscars, we're like, no way that would get picked now. Like imagine, what is it? Gladiator was won Best Picture, didn't it?
Yeah.
It would never get close these
Yeah.
days. I mean, great. I love the film, but like, it's not Best Picture material.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Yeah.
Not today.
I mean, yeah, I think, I've said it before, but I think the part about the Oscars that I like is the trying predict
Right.
predict what would win
Yeah.
side of things.
Yeah.
Like I love that side of things. Is
Interestingly,
trying to
Screen Junkies, I think every year do like what they think the Oscar noms should have been.
predict stuff.
And I always find their picks way better.
Yeah.
They share maybe like 20% to 50% like of the nominations with the Academy.
Yeah.
And their picks always make way more sense in
Yeah.
terms of because they show them discussing it as well, and
Yeah.
you hear like their reasons for it, and like they just like always have picks that are literally just better.
Yeah.
More specifically for Best Picture anyway.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, films, are subjective. Art
Yeah,
form, and
exactly.
What one person likes.
It's
is
just
not
like the
necessarily
thing
what
is,
another person will like.
I
so.
guess it depends because like the people who are at Screen Junkies are kind of like the people that I follow and listen to, and so obviously I'm gonna have similar opinions
Yeah.
to them
Yeah.
as opposed to the Academy, which is a lot wider, I guess. But they're all pretty old, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, they've sort of diversified a little bit more, luckily. But I mean, there was an old saying which was the average Academy voter is like, I think it was like old white guys, right? Mainly, who
Yeah.
were the Academy, and so there's a saying that was like the average Academy voter is your dad.
All right.
Like
Yeah.
like in terms of age and stuff,
Yeah.
it's like your dad. Which I always found a little bit funny, but
I reckon they should make it that anybody like with a film degree can sign up and vote for the Academy. Don't you think? Like, because like
that'd be so many people though.
yeah, which would be better because then the more people you have, the better the voting is.
True.
Do you know what I mean?
I mean, at the moment, I think it's the Academy's the biggest it's ever been in
Right.
terms of amount of people. I'm not sure the exact number.
Yeah.
Because you compare it to the Hollywood Foreign Press, who's they're the people behind the Golden Globes,
Right.
and they only have 100 members.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's terrible.
Yeah, I know. I found it interesting. I think there should be a rule that like you can only be in the Academy for like X amount of years,
True.
and then you're kicked out, or like you have to have made something in X amount of years
Right.
to stay in
True.
the Academy, or something like that, or like an age limit or something. Like you hit a certain age, you're kicked out, just to get like fresh blood into it as well, and hopefully some more diverse blood as well, which has started to happen. In the recent years of like the whole Oscars so white category, controversy rather.
Yeah.
All right, I think we should move on to our next segment.
Which is
What you doing?
and of course the segment "What You Doing" is where we talk about what we've been doing and what we've been watching and stuff like that. And I remember last week I said there's a bunch of TV shows that I wanted to watch,
Yeah.
and I haven't watched any
Of them, nice.
because I've been watching The Office, which I said I was like I need to stop watching The Office and watch these other TV shows. But instead I just keep watching The Office because it's too good.
It's too good.
What was I up to last week? Or I was something like partway through season 2.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I am partway through season 5.
Okay.
So, I've been doing an internship full time, so I haven't just been at home all day.
Yeah.
Although that's now finished, so now I am home all day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fantastic. And although I did also see The Mule, which I said I was going to see, which is a movie directed and starring Clint Eastwood. That was good. That wasn't up for any Oscars, was it?
No.
Yeah, I mean it was good. It was just not. It wasn't amazing, but I liked it. Yeah, but that's kind of all I've watched and all I've done, and I can't think of anything else I want to do except keep watching The Office. Oh, actually, no, that's right. I've been on since not actually just because of the Oscar discussion before, but I've been in a big Lord of the Rings mood.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been replaying Battle for Middle Earth a lot.
Yeah.
Which is one of I think I ranked it my third favorite game of all time, or maybe my second.
Yeah. It was up there. I remember that much.
Man, it's a good game. And I reinstalled all 3 games because there's 2 games plus an expansion for the second game,
Yeah.
and I also installed the old Return of the King game, which is like a third-person role-playing game, I guess. Role-playing? I don't know if you call it action role-play, I guess. Game. So I've been just playing those games heaps. I also reinstalled Need for Speed, the 2015 one, because I want to play that again. I haven't played it yet. But yeah, basically I did this because I found out that there are still servers for Battle for Middle Earth, like running
Really?
online, not official ones. I think they shut down the official ones in 20 something, 2010 maybe around then. But some fans made their own servers
that's
and modified the game to work with their servers, and they upgraded the graphics as well, so they look even better.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just so great being able to play with real people, because even when back in the day when I did play it, I never played online because parents, don't play online games, blah blah blah, or whatever, you know. So I never got to, and now I have. I think today I played my first online games, and we had some connection issues, but for the most part it was pretty good. And I enjoyed that a lot. I'm going to keep doing that. That's probably what I'm going to do. I'm probably going to do equal parts Battle for Middle Earth and equal parts Office this week. So, yeah, tune in next time and find out how accurate that is. It's probably going to be... this time I'm not trying to predict that I'm going to watch a bunch of movies. I'll try and watch Loving Vincent, because that was on sale. Also, Once Were Warriors is on sale, but I don't have enough money to buy it. So...
Ooh.
Whether or not that happens,
Yeah.
who knows?
It's
A bunch
stuff.
of New Zealand films are on sale on iTunes at the moment, so if you're interested, go check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all I'm got.
All right. So first up, I've got a movie. So one of the movies that I put on my giant 38 long film list, that I managed to watch the other day. And so now I'm officially halfway, Ben. I'm halfway through my list.
Nice.
Are you proud of me?
I'm so proud.
Yeah. So that film is My Own Private Idaho. So it's like a indie, drama indie film from 91, starring River Phoenix and Keanu Reeves. Keanu?
I've never heard of it.
No? Not surprised. So it's pretty weird,
Right.
film, because it's sort of like a loose adaptation of Shakespeare.
Okay.
And so they don't speak in Shakespeare, like in Shakespearean language, but they speak in like modern English, but it still sounds a little Shakespearean.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like very over the top's not the right word, but like over the top,
Yeah.
like
I know. What you mean.
theatrical, I guess.
Right.
But two amazing performances by River Phoenix. River Phoenix was such a good actor.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, because he was around in the 90s. Yeah, he was around in the 90s, and died, passed away really young. He was like 20 something. 93. Yeah. So super young. I think he's Joaquin Phoenix's brother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so what a talent. Just a really interesting film. Weird, I will say that. Just be aware of that going into it. But other than that, if you can get over the weirdness of the film, it's good. Basically, is what I'll say. I give it probably like a 6 out of 10. I would say like a 5 or 6 out of 10. Yeah, it doesn't blow your socks off, but it's good. It's pretty good.
It doesn't blow your socks off.
Yeah.
Oh, classic.
All right, so my other thing is actually a thing that I read about, and I read about it a while ago during season 1, but unfortunately I forgot to talk about it during season 1, so I'm talking about it now. So there was a story of this crazy prop bet that a poker player, 2 poker players did, and so the bet was that this guy couldn't stay in a pitch black room for 30 days.
Wow.
With no human interaction,
How does he eat?
nothing. Yeah, so there were guidelines. So the individual will stay in an unlocked room with no human interaction for 30 days. A refrigerator with ample food and water will be provided, including fresh food delivery and vitamins.
Does the refrigerator have a light in it?
I don't know. I'm assuming so.
Does he just keep the fridge open all day for the light?
He'll have toiletries, towels, a bed, a paddleball, and a Rubik's Cube. And no alcohol, sleep aids, or other drugs were allowed. So you can just take a bunch of sleeping pills and sleep for the majority of the time. So they the bet was $100K.
Wow.
For this guy to do this, and I'm pretty sure he managed to do it and made the money, got the money. But if he hadn't have done it, he would have owed the guy $100K.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's an insane bet, man.
It is.
Do you think you could do that? I don't think I could cope.
I don't think so.
Because it's like,
So he doesn't have anything he can do, does he?
yeah, well, he had the Rubik's Cube and like a paddleboard, basically.
Nah.
Like, if I had the internet, I'll be fine. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's like what I always do.
Exactly.
But I don't think I could do it like without the. If I had the internet, I could do it. I reckon. If I
Mm.
didn't have the internet, I couldn't do it.
Well, the thing is, if you're in pitch darkness,
Yeah.
are you allowed to use a phone or a computer?
Because the light would be
Yeah,
emitting from the device.
exactly.
Therefore, you wouldn't be in pitch
Yeah.
blackness.
So it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, I can do it. Yeah.
Then again, if it was a lot of money, like
I
100,
mean,
I wouldn't.
100K.
I don't think I would do it for 100K. That's a whole month.
Yeah.
You know,
It's a month, but like
I don't know.
100. What's 100K divided by like?
I would do it.
Like, how much would you be?
I'd do it
earning
for
an
a
hour? I don't know.
million. If it was a million, I'd do it.
I think I can maybe.
Because
do
like,
it in
it's such a huge annoying thing that you have to do.
yeah.
I wouldn't do it a huge annoying
But
thing.
I guess you could treat it as a job, you know.
Maybe, but like it's so boring and horrible.
Yeah. That would be the major problem about
Yeah.
it.
Also, how are you even? Tash has just pointed out, how are you even going to use the Rubik's cube?
Yeah, in the dark.
You
Yeah,
can't
I don't
see it.
know. But when you, oh yeah, yeah, true. Well, how pitch black is it? Because don't your eyes like adjust to the dark?
Yeah, but only if there's a source of light. Like, you know, you're outside for a while, you adjust but there's moonlight and street light and starlight.
Yeah, true.
Pitch black means no source of light enters the room, right?
Yeah.
So that means how could your eyes possibly see anything
I don't know.
if you're pitch black? I don't know if I've ever been in pitch black. I can't think.
Yeah, that's true, eh?
'Cause,
Because you
like,
always have some sort of
there's
light
always
sort of
light.
seeping through
Yeah.
windows or whatever. That's a good point.
Yeah, if you've ever been in
Pitch black.
in pitch black, you should give us a comment. Let us know what your experience is like.
Yeah. All right. So now I'm going to do my things that I want to watch but probably won't watch segment. So I have a list of 22 films on my Letterboxd account.
Jeepers.
Um,
Only
and-
20. I've got a lot more than that on my watch list.
yeah. Well, I always like add things to my list, but when I say that, I'm like adding it to my list in my brain, but then I always forget
Yeah,
what they
yeah,
are.
yeah.
By the way, my account name, if you want to follow me on Letterboxd,
Oh.
is Matt_5. That's Matt
I told you it
underscore.
would be Matt
5.
5. Didn't I say that last week?
Yep. Yes, you did. All right, here we go. The films I want to see are, let's rattle them off as quickly as possible. Bad Times at the El Royale, The Seventh Seal, Saturday Night and Sunday Morning, Dr. Caligari, there we go. Paris is Burning, Breathless, In Bruges, Quiet Place, Hateful Eight, Buried, Boy Erased, Battleship Potemkin, Paris, Texas, Adaption, Persona, If Beale Street Could Talk, The Virgin Suicides, Marie Antoinette, Lost in Translation, Annihilation, Tropic Thunder, and Seven Samurai.
Wait, I think I've followed the wrong Matt. I followed Matt 5 without an underscore.
Oh. I feel like you followed me at some point.
That's not you, is it?
No, that's not me.
No. Unfollow. That was awkward.
Yeah, so that's all the stuff on my sort of what I'm doing / what I want to do.
I kind of forgot we were podcasting for a second there.
Yeah. Nice.
Let us know if you have a Letterboxd as well, actually, and we can follow you. So yeah, let us know in the comment section below.
Yes. And you should do that because that means then our next segment. Actually, did I just mispronounce the word segment?
You mispronounced the word next. You said axed. Our axed segment. Next.
Yeah. So this segment's called Crunch Comments. What we usually do is we try and read comments that have been put either on our YouTube, our Facebook, our Twitter, our Ambit.
For Twitter? Oh yeah, we do have a Twitter.
Yeah, any of our social medias or on the live stream on Twitch. And so what we do is we read them out on the podcast live, which is very exciting. Usually,
It's not exciting when you don't comment. So
Yeah.
you should comment.
usually at this point. Only problem is it doesn't really work if no one comments. So you should comment because then that means that this segment actually works and functions, and it doesn't function without you guys. So please comment. You should also support us by, if you haven't already, liking us on Facebook, following us on all the aforementioned social medias, as well as supporting us on Patreon, where you can get like little reward tiers and stuff, which is really cool. So you should check us out on there. We should mention that any money that is pledged to us on Patreon is invested back into the company to like put towards equipment and stuff like that, so we can make better and more content for you guys. If you can't afford to support us through monetary ways because you're broke, hashtag know that feel. You can just comment and share us and just spread the word about us, because we really want to sort of grow our audience. Yeah. So thank you guys all very much for watching
Or listening.
or listening. We'll see you guys in another 2 weeks, hopefully.
Yep. If you want to watch live, listen live.
Yeah, on Twitch.
Probably Sunday night New Zealand time.
Yeah.
About 7 o'clock.
Yes.
Roughly.
Um.
Stay tuned. Hit follow and get notifications.
Yes. Do
Be free.
all that. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. I've been Matt.
And I've been Ben.
See ya. Goodbye.